All right. All right. Look like we are live. We are live. Let me make sure everything is good on my end. Get this audio right. I always try to check the audio, make sure everything is good, and we're gonna go from there. So let me check. Let me check my audio. Yeah, my audio sounds good. And I want to talk about what makes a great game. The reason why I want to talk about that because not too many people talk about good games. There's a lot of negativity going on in gaming, and I get it. It is what it is, and a lot of these big budget games don't do well in the greater scheme of things anymore. So we're going to talk about that. Talk about lower tier of games and everything under the umbrella. Actually, talk about what I like in the game as well. Kenneth Mullen, how you doing, bro? Good to see you. Hopefully you had a good week, man. Hopefully you had a good week. My week was not bad at all. I had a pretty busy week, but it wasn't too bad. And I haven't had a chance to really be up here to play any games, but I did make some moves as far as moving some stuff around. I know, like back here, I usually have that other monitor right there, or the other TV that was on that little stand on the other side of the TV. I moved that to over here, and I basically put all my sixth generation consoles on that one particular monitor. So you on 10 hours, man. You lucky you got 10 hours. I work longer than 10. I go into work like every morning, probably around like 6:30, 6:45 at the latest. Around that time. Depends on the traffic I get to work. But I don't ever get to work at 6:45. Usually between 6:30 and 6:35. And I usually work to almost like 5 in the afternoon. So I'm pretty much working almost 11 hours, 12 hours a day. I usually get off around that time, and then I have a little side hustle I do. I work on the side. I do that as well on top of doing this on YouTube. So, um, yeah. So, hey, between all of that, I probably work anywhere between 10 to 13 hours a day. And see, next month you on 12. Man, man. I remember, and I'm gonna talk about this for a second before I get into this. I remember back when I was in law enforcement, and I did police work for at one point, and then I went into corrections after that. And the time I was in corrections, we had 12-hour shifts, and it was either days or nights. They didn't rotate or anything. Thank God it didn't rotate. But when you work at night for 12 hours, man, 6 at night to 6 in the morning, man, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how I did it. Thinking back on it, I don't know how I did it. That was just crazy. But now, I decided to change my profession. I drive trucks now, and that's probably like the best thing that ever happened. But yeah, working those long hours, man, that's rough. That's rough. I mean, if you're used to it, it's like a walk in the park. But you know, after a while, for me, it kind of got rough. I got married and all this other stuff, and I wanted to be home with my wife, and working at night 12 hours didn't really help, with her being home by herself. And I always dreaded leaving her home by herself at night like that. So I had to make a change. And uh, I started working in security, and then I jumped from security to working, with transportation basically. And that's when I started, driving trucks. Even though I work 12 hours now, but my side hustle was by choice. But working this job is nothing because, like, I mean, I get up at a decent time, so I have to be to work at like 6, 6:30, which is fantastic for me compared to what I've done before. Because when I first started driving trucks, I had to get to work. Oh my God, I had to be to work at like 3 in the morning. So getting to work at 6:30 is like amazing, and then getting off between 5 and 7. And like I said, sometimes I get home as early as 4. Depends on how long I have to drive, and it's the way things are set up is like great, but throughout the week, there's times when I work and I don't want to really do anything up here, but just relax. So I come up here and I don't do much, but just to chill out, watch some YouTube, play a few games here and there, move some things around. I did manage to get another bookshelf or DVD shelf similar to what you see with the Xbox stuff behind me right here, but it's over there for the my retro stuff, 5th generation. I'll have another video where I show you what I did with the rest of this stuff over here, because I have my CRT set up. My basically this monitor that I had on that thing over there is a 480p. It's a TV, but it does 480p and 480i phenomenal. So it's great for second, 6th generation games. So I got that set up, and I have a whole little setup over here, which is great. And I love the way I got it. And I need probably like one more bookshelf to actually put the rest of my games up, because right now I still have my Saturn, some of my Dreamcast, some of my PlayStation 1 games. Those are all still like not on a bookshelf. And then I still have my N64 and NES games still not put up as well, but I'll get that together soon. I do midnight, and that's why she's licensed to carry. Oh boy, that's crazy. What's going on, Quayface? How you doing, man? It's good to see you, bro. Hey, I got a question, Quayface. Have you played PGA 2K25? I don't know. My gut feeling just telling me not to get into the game. I wanted to buy it. I had a chance to buy it, but I didn't. And I'm still playing, the EA Sports PGA Tour. So I don't know if it's a buy or not. And I haven't heard anybody talk about PGA 2K25. So somebody needs to let me know, because ever since the EA Sports game came out, I just have no desire to play the other one. I'll be honest, I just don't have the desire to play any other one. Somebody need to let me know if 2K25 worth picking up. I'm gonna do a game room tour once I get everything else settled. Like I said, I got a few things over here. I guess I can show you a little bit. I still got a bin that's over here. Let me see if I can move it over a little bit. So I still got a bin right there, but all that stuff in there is my N64 and my NES games. That's all I got left in there. I've managed to get the rest of those games in that bin up on the shelf, and those are the only 2 I got left. Once I get that done, I plan on getting either a couch, or I want to get a couch, or I want to get 2 swivel chairs right behind me. Because I'm just sitting in this, and my son sits in the beanbag. And this chair is comfortable, but I want to get a more of a relaxing type of chair setup. So I'm working on that as well. I could have got a futon, it was dirt cheap, but I ain't trying to buy no, used furniture from people. You just don't know how people been doing it, what they've been doing in their house. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know, man, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about getting something new. So what I'm planning on doing is, I saw a futon on at Walmart that was pretty decent, but I was like, I need something that I know that's gonna be comfortable. I want something comfortable. So once I get that together, definitely gonna do a tour of the game room, whatever the case may be. See, okay, so you got 2K25, you can skip it. EA, let me tell you something, man. That golf game, even though I like college football 25, I still think that golf game is the best sports title that came out in the last 10 years. Yeah, I could say probably the last 10 years, that's the best sports title that came out in the last 10 years. That sports game, that golf game is just amazing. EA has done a phenomenal job of that game, and they could just keep updating the game. They don't really need to make another one. They could just literally just keep updating the game and do a little tweak here and there. But they knocked it out of the park with the golf game. Their golf game is absolutely amazing. I love it. But I may get it when it's like cheap or something. I may pick it up. I don't know. I may pick it up. But I'm like deep into my career on EA Sports. I'm like in year 3 or something like that. So yeah, but speaking of great games, let's talk about what makes a great game. We're going to talk about that. That's what I really wanted to make. That's why I want to make this live, for what makes a great game. And first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for really supporting the channel. Slowly but surely, we are moving up to 1,000 subs. I wanted to get to 1,000 by the end of 2024, but it just didn't work out that way. It's 2025 now. We're at 8.25. trying to get that trying to get to that point where we get to 1,000, and but it all just matters the way that we continue to make content over here. And I just want to try to diverse my content. That's one of the things I wanted to do, from ever since I started to walk away from the Madden scene. I mean, I was a big Madden fan. Well, critique. I wasn't necessarily a fan, but I was a big football fan. I wanted Madden to be better. I wanted 2K football to come back. I wanted anybody to make a football game. But now I feel more like it's whatever at this point. I don't really care about the football scene or whatever the case may be. But I'm just trying to talk about all the type of games I do play. And that's why I want to make my channel a little more diverse, where we talk about games, and that's basically the way that we're going to do it. Doc Type, how you doing, bro? I'm glad to see you come through. I really appreciate it. We're going to get into the topic. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for it to come down, because the reason why I ask what make games great, because we have a problem. We really do. A lot of these games that we used to love and we used to cherish, a lot of these franchises aren't really delivering like they used to. I remember playing Battlefield, 1942. I remember playing the Maddens of the world. I remember playing even the 2K basketball to an extent. And I still think 2K basketball is a great game. I remember playing the Call of Duties. I remember playing, the Assassin's Creed. When I did play a little bit of Assassin's Creed 1 back in the day, but I just never got away to follow through the entire story. And I think that's because I was in the scene of playing Madden football. I kind of missed out on that. But I always played the Battlefields. I always played, the Call of Duties. I've always played like Uncharted, the Lara Crofts, the Tomb Raiders. I always played the Gears of War. I always played all those, top tier games that you hear about. But a lot of them kind of, they kind of disappointing us to this day, or at this present time. You seen what happened with the Saints Row situation. That's not doing well anymore. Grand Theft Auto, we're crossing our fingers, hoping Grand Theft Auto is just as good as Grand Theft Auto 5. And I want to know, like, now, with the way games are evolving, what makes a great game? What are the things that go together that really make games great? There are some things that we have to pretty much. Hold on, did I just? Oh yeah, I did. I didn't mean to do that. And there's some things I feel that is somewhat of a criteria that will make games, on point, make games fun again, make games enjoyable. And I really want to talk about maybe like 5 to 10 things that will make a game great now, because like you got a lot of loot boxes. Well, not many loot boxes, just a lot of monetization. Games don't have a great story anymore. The graphics still look good in some games, but some of these games still look like they could be on a PS4 or Xbox One. You also have games that just don't have the depth for single player content. So many things. So I want to just talk about a few things that, really make what makes a great game, what make games great. It's just something that I really want to discuss, because a lot of us, we always talk about it, we think about it, but we never really have a full discussion, because most of the time what we do, we end up going back to talk about how great things were on the PS3. We talk about things that was great on the PS2 or the original Xbox. I'm a big fan of the original Xbox. And I guess, is it really that simple just to go back to a PlayStation 2 format of a game, or original Xbox format of a game, or PS3 or a PS4 format of a game? Or are there things that can be implemented into today's games that won't be as intrusive, or will actually enhance the game to be fun? So I'm gonna pull this up because I got this. Let's see. So I want to write this stuff down. MDB. That's what they call it. Oh yeah, that's okay. That's it. So I got this right here where we can get about 5 or 6 points about what make games great. Did I put that right? Yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about this. All right, let's see. I'm going to look at somebody, what people put in the chat. Doc Type said storylines. Perfect example is COD 3. You had storyline, then multiplayer online. You know what? I'm going to talk about that in a second. That is a great point. Quayface says it seems like gaming now it is trying to get money and not trying to make a good game. Yeah, that it's too much. Not necessarily monetization. It's just a lot of. It is a lot. They're trying to put a lot of money into something and not give you nothing to make the money worth it. Because I mean, they can't really do the monetization like they used to because the loot box thing, what happened with Star Wars was so bad. They really can't do that anymore. You know, that's where Jedi Survivor and the other Star Wars Jedi game came from, because those two games basically was a response to all the backlash from the loot boxes. So they try to find a way to monetize things in other situations. Like you got an online game with Assassin's Creed Shadows with a battle pass. That's kind of crazy, you know? So first and foremost, I want to say it all begins with what Quayface said, in my opinion. Devs love it. You got to get a devs love gaming. And I think some devs still do, but I think the higher ups don't make them love it. So one thing you got to have is a group of devs. Did I spell it right? No. DVEL. That have passion for their vision. So that's just first and foremost. They gotta have a passion for the vision that they have. So that right there is the beginning. The developer gotta have a passion, and when they have a passion, that means they're not going to sell out to companies just to push their game out there. They're not going to just do anything they can just to get it out there to the masses. They would rather go indie before they would make a game be mainstream. This is why Rogue Flight is so good. I love Rogue Flight. And we even go to the AAA side of things. Me and Quayface just talked about the golf game. They have a passion for what they did. I remember talking to the devs or watching the devs make their game for EA Sports PGA Tour Golf. And they had a passion for what they did. You got to have a passion for the vision that they have to make this game for their audience. That's first and foremost. Regardless of what we want, if the devs don't have a passion and they don't have a passion to make what they want, the game's just not going to be good. It's just not, because it's not a labor of love. It's not something that they put their heart and soul into. You know, so it's not going to be good. Second, the game has to be functional. Has to work as intended. Oh, I didn't spell it right. E-N-D. E-D. There we go. Game has to work as intended. It has to work exactly like their vision. So whatever the vision that they have, the game has to be put out the way they want it. You know, because this is one thing. Every great game has a group of people that put a game together. They have to put a game together, and it has to come out exactly the way they want it. They can't have these bugs. They can't have these issues, stuff they can't fix. It has to work as the way they want to, because these games are going to come out the way they want to. And if they have a passion for it and they want this game to be as great as they want to, it has to function as great. Games like Siphon Filter, like Doc Type said, that game for the PS1, everything about it was pretty much beautiful for a PS1 game. It played well, story was great, you know, the way it functioned. The only thing I can say that I'll give games a pass on if the limitations was just not, the limitations held a couple games back. For instance, like a Siphon Filter, let's say Medal of Honor from back in the day. Let's just say, what's another game that I can say? even Resident Evil, believe it or not. Those games just didn't mechanically wasn't the best, but they worked with what they had, and even through all of that, those games are still are classics. They're still masterpieces. You know, even with like Metal Gear Solid is another one. The game just was based on the limitations, just couldn't do it. And a lot of games do come out broke nowadays. These games can't come out broken anymore. I just got finished playing like my third playthrough or my fourth playthrough of Rogue Flight. And yes, it's not like this huge AAA game, which honestly is really no excuse for that. And we'll talk about that later. These games, Rogue Flight did not have like one problem that I saw. Maybe there's something that's there I didn't notice, but the game just played great, you know? But I don't understand. Even if a game doesn't work as intended, if you were immersed, it was fine. That's why Bethesda was my favorite game too. No, I totally agree. This is like going back what I said back in the day on PS1 games, and even some PS3 games. Some games didn't work like they were supposed to. We played the games because we was immersed, we was into the game, and we had fun with it. You know, I mean, even the legendary NFL 2K5. That game has so much immersion in it. Is a great football game. Even we can say with All Pro Football 2K8. Both of those football games are very good football games and still regarded as some of the best games ever put out. But those games didn't always work as intended. There are some things in the game that does not work. Let's just say, for instance, for NFL 2K5, the head tracking for the tight end. The tight end won't look for the ball. And I know this is like, real small for people who don't play football. You can throw the football at the tight end and he won't turn his head to look for the ball. But I know that wasn't intended to be that way. Now look at All Pro Football 2K8. The tight ends in that game are like Randy Moss. They can catch almost everything. I know that wasn't intended, but those games are still great. It is what it is. Third thing to make a great game, let's see. What's number 3? What is the third thing I can come up with? What makes a great game? I will say this. The game has to have, and I'm pretty sure everybody can agree with this, a great story, or I want to say for games that don't have a story, it has to have a good let's see, end game. The game have to have a great story or end game. Like for instance, there are some games that I played that don't necessarily have a story in it at all. And you just have to play the game to complete it. Some games are based on having a good high score. Some games are based on beating it the fastest or completing the game the fastest. Some games are based on completing every mission in a game. And it's not necessarily story based per se. It's just the story is the missions. So it got to have one of the two. If you want to play a game and you want to continue to go through that game has to have an ending that's somewhat that's meaningful, even if it don't have a story behind it. Just say, for instance, like a lot of shoot 'em ups. You play a game like Crimson Clover. You play a game like Atashos. Some shoot 'em ups that don't have a really good, don't have a story behind it at all. But the shoot 'em up game is so good, it has some sort of an end game. Let's just say like a Contra, for instance, the Contra 1 or Contra 2. I know Contra 1 had somewhat of a story, but you knew what the story was, but it didn't have like a story that you follow like you would do, any other game nowadays. You just had to complete the game by defeating the mother alien that was at the end of the game, or so one of those, it has to have one of the two, great story or in game. Let's see, number 4. Hopefully that made sense. gameplay has to be challenging. And that means that goes from controlling the game to the level of difficulty, and it has to have some sort of, well, which will be number 5. I'll talk about in the second one. I'm not gonna say the third part of what I mean about gameplay. That'll be number 5. But the controls and the difficulty level has to be challenging. It doesn't have to be overtly difficult. It doesn't have to be like a Bloodborne difficulty, or it doesn't have to be anything like Uncharted 4 on brutal or anything like that. It doesn't have to be like a Souls game. It doesn't have to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I do love playing games that are somewhat difficult. Like I'm still playing the Ninja Gaiden for the original Xbox. Ninja Gaiden for the original Xbox is a very challenging game. Is pretty tough. It will make you mad. But you got these games gotta have a great game, gotta have somewhat of a balance. And that's not saying that Ninja Gaiden is not a great game. It just gotta have somewhat of a balance to where you have to play this game and get good at it, but getting good at it, the process of it is very satisfying. I can't spell. Is that right? Let me. No, that's not right. Spell check. There we go. I put the Y in the wrong place. I mean, the I in the wrong place. Okay, so the results of the gameplay has to be satisfying. That goes back to what I said with number 4. The gameplay has to be challenging, and the results of the gameplay has to be satisfying. So when you do overcome a boss, or when you do overcome, mastering a mechanic, or your muscle memory's on point to where you can function the player that you're controlling in a proficient way to where you're going to have good results going further into the game. That's the best part of playing the game. Learning how to play it, mastering the game, and now you can take your game to the next level to where you can play the game on the most difficult level and still have a great time. So, 5 of these, and I could probably do 2 more, which, we'll have more discussion with it as we go. But I think like these first 5, they're not necessarily tried and true, but from the top of my head, these 5 things make a great game. I don't care if you're playing an RPG, you're playing a fighting game, you're playing a racing game, you're playing a sports game. You could be playing anything from Pac-Man up to the greatest game, or the newest game that just came out. It doesn't necessarily matter. So the developers got to have a passion for their vision. The game has to be functional. The game has to have a great story. The gameplay has to be challenging, and the results of the gameplay has to be satisfying. If you have these four or 5 things, I mean, you can even take 1 or 2 of these out of it. The developers don't need to have a passion for the vision of their game. The developers don't, but if they make a good game, regardless of the passion that they have, you can deal with the 2 through 5. So it doesn't. The gameplay doesn't necessarily have to be challenging. It could be a fairly easy game, but if you're having fun with it, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So this is not like, it doesn't necessarily have to be all 5 of these, but I think that's basically what it is. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 just came up off the top of my head. I think we'll probably come with a number 7. But the game has to have value regardless of the price. The game could be $200. The game could be $50. The game could be $10. But it got to have value. If you buy a game at, I guess what the running rate now, $70. If a game is $70, you should have the value of that $70. You just got to have that value. You just can't have a game that's $70 and it's a waste of time. Or you feel like you ran through the game too fast and you're not having fun anymore. Or the game is not full of content. Or the game is just bare bones at the price. Look at Street Fighter V when it first released. That game was not worth $60, $65. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. Now if you buy the game now with everything it has, I think they have a complete edition out now. And it's cheaper now anyway, but they got so much content in that game that's great. But Street Fighter V was not that kind of game at one point. It was just basically, like 8 characters or something like that, and it didn't have an arcade mode, and the online wasn't great, but they wanted you to pay $60 for it. Mechanically, the game played fine, but it just wasn't there. But then again, you have games like, I'll go back talking about this game again, Rogue Flight. That game is worth, my time personally, because I think it's a great game. But if you do turn around and pay, $40, $50 for that game, and if you like a Star Fox type game, you're going to get your money's worth, hands down. It's very full of value, and the replay value in it is just amazing. And that's another thing. These games should not be a situation where, and I know a lot of people may not believe this or may not, rock with this. I am not a fan of one and done games. I think every game that comes out should have at least some type of replay value where you could possibly go to that game at least 2 or 3 times. Perfect example right there. Think of the games we used to pump quarters into. The games you pump quarters into was a little bit of a, you're on the right track. Don't get me wrong. You're right. There's nothing wrong. But the games we pump quarters into, you felt like you was getting something out of it. You kept putting quarters into a Alien versus Predator or an X-Men at the arcade, or your typical beat 'em up when you played at the arcade. Because you felt like you got, value out of it because the game was continuously fun. Now the thing about that is, and I understand it now, and we didn't even think about it back then, but even though we understand it now, I think it's warranted. Back then, those games were made to put, it was made to eat quarters. It was made for you to constantly give it money. And I understand why, because they had to make a profit, but you still felt like you got something out of it. Like nowadays, we're getting DLC, we're getting expansion packs, we're paying a lot of money for some of this stuff, and we don't feel like we're getting anything out of these games. Simpsons Arcade took all of my quarters too. Simpsons Arcade took my quarters. X-Men took my quarters. I'm talking about the big X-Men, the 6. Let me see if I can pull it up, man. The 6 arcade. Let me see if I can find it. This thing right here, not that. No, not that. Not that. Nope, not that. This thing was a monster. Yeah, this one. Where? Oh, here it is. Let me see if I can pull this up. You guys got to see this. Can I pull it up? Can I? Oh, there it is, right there. All right, let me stop sharing this one real quick. I want y'all to see this. This thing right here. This thing here was a monster. Where is it? Let me pull it up. Oh, here it is. Y'all see it? No, y'all don't see it? Well, anyway, here it is right here. Y'all see it right there. All right, let me back out of this. That's it right there. I wish I could pull it. I'm gonna have to download this and get it, but y'all see what I'm saying. This thing right here. Let me see. Oh, I know what I know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it back up. Is this it? Yeah. There it is. Now you can see it. This thing right here, when it was at the arcade, I remember playing this with a whole bunch of other guys, and this thing made so much money. And it's a shame that this game is not out anymore. It actually kind of sucks that this game has been delisted, along with the Simpsons arcade game. I mean, you can get that on One Up Arcade right now, though. Let's get this back up. But yeah, man. But go back to what I was saying is like, you got value out of this stuff. You know what I mean? You got value out of, regardless of how much it costs, you got value out of it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. You should be able to get value out of whatever game you get. And like I said, I think these games nowadays, and I think some companies have been doing a pretty good job of it. They've been making games with a new game plus, so you can play it more than once. Even the AAA titles kind of do that. They give you a new game plus, play games over and over again. So I think the replay value in games are trying to come back again. And I think a lot of companies are trying to get away from the live service stuff, because a lot of people are starting to realize there's not a lot of replay value in live services. And even if there are, it's not enough to keep people around, because the live service, the replay value is based on getting money out your pockets, not the way that we're talking about. So that's a good topic. What game took my quarters? Oh goodness. Street Fighter 2, all of the Street Fighter 2s that came out, especially Super Turbo. Mortal Kombat 2 was another one, because that game was ridiculously hard on the arcade. NBA Jam, because that was like almost $2 to play a full game of that. What else? Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2, Marvel versus Capcom 2. I remember now my friends used to play this game. I didn't play much of it. Did y'all go to the arcade and play that Dance Dance Revolution game? I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't like playing it, but my friends did. All the beat 'em ups we just talked about, those took a lot of my quarters. I'm trying to think another game. Daytona USA was another one. Double Dragon, Double Dragon was another one. That took my quarters. I think I pretty much gave the rundown. Oh, all the versus series, like I said, all the versus series. Marvel versus Capcom 1 and 2, X-Men versus Street Fighter. I remember when that hit the arcades. Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. I remember when that hit the arcade. I remember when Tekken. The first time I played Tekken in the arcade was Tekken 3. Because I remember just playing Tekken 1 and 2 on the PlayStation. And I knew Tekken 1 and 2 was at the arcade, but I didn't play them until Tekken 3. I thought Tekken 3 I thought that looked amazing in the arcade. Tekken 1 and 2, I thought it was good, but I also felt that it was kind of like Virtua Fighter-esque, so I didn't gravitate to it, even though I thought they were good games, but I didn't gravitate to them like I did Tekken 3. When Tekken 3 hit, oh man, that was it for me when it came to like 3D fighters. Like, okay, I was already a fan of Virtua Fighter 2, thought that was cool. Dead or Alive, I thought that was cool. But when Tekken 3 hit, oh man, that was it for me. I started to fall in love with 3D fighter games at that point, because I was strictly a 2D fighting game type of person. You say Pitfall 2? I'm gonna try to come up with 3 more, man. Y'all gonna give me some feedback. Let me know if y'all can think of something. I'm gonna try to come. Well, I'll say 4 more. I'm gonna say with 10. I'm gonna come up with 10 things that makes a great game. I think I kind of say a replay value with number 6. Number 7, do a game have to have good graphics? No. Okay, I will say this. Has to look good with the arts. Now, a lot of people, what was that fire hose game in the arcade? I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. I just thought about it. I can't remember the name of it. Now you're gonna have me thinking about it. I'm gonna get to it in a second. I'm gonna try to figure it. I'm probably have to look it up on the internet. What's going on, Jared, bro? Hey, man. Jared's another guy. He was around ever since I was doing the sports title stuff, which I still do sports for every now and then, but I don't talk about it as much. But he has a great podcast. Go check him out, Southern Baller Show. Check him out. Absolutely great content when it comes to football. So if you're into sports, or just sports in general, he does all that great stuff. So salute to you, bro. Definitely go check him out if you can. Before I finish, I'll probably put your before I finish, I will put your link into the show, into the chat. Game has to look good with the art style. Now, games don't have to look absolutely amazing. They don't have to have these realistic graphics or whatever the case may be. But if you're going to make an old NES style game, that's a pixel style game, that game has to look really good in that 8-bit pixel style. If you're going to make a game based on 16 or 32-bit, it has to look like a game that's on the Super Nintendo or the Saturn. It has to look like a game that's on the Saturn or the game that's on the Super Nintendo or Genesis. You know what I mean? It has to look really good where you can go back and say, hey, man, that looks like something that could be on that particular console or whatever. Same thing with the Dreamcast. Dreamcast, I mean, all their games look great on Dreamcast. I mean, I've yet to see a bad Dreamcast game to this day. I could be wrong, but I've been dealing with the Dreamcast since 99.99. And I appreciate that, bro. Learn from the best. Hey, man, I'm just a guy out here, man. I don't get to push like I want to when it comes to YouTube, man. But I guess that's a little bit on me too. I don't push myself as much as I should. But I appreciate it. Thanks, bro. A game that's on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, even on the Wii, any old games from the 6th generation. You know what a good looking game looks like from that era. Like when we was playing Doom 3. Doom 3 is a perfect example. That game right there is a game from the original Xbox. But when you watch me play it or when you watch anyone play it, that game looks great, even though it's like dark or whatever. The graphics look great on that game. It has to have a great look with the art. You can't have an art style and then the artist that's making the game is just not making the game look good on the screen. That's pretty bad. You know what I mean? And I think, to be honest with you guys, I think that we kind of started to lose our way a little bit in the PS3 days, Xbox 360 days. Doc Type is absolutely correct when he says this. They're too focused on making the game look good where they don't have to do that. Just make the game look good based on the art style you're using. And what developers are doing, they're making games, they're trying to make games look photorealistic where they don't have to do that. When you go look at games back on the PlayStation 2 or on the Xbox or on the Dreamcast or on the Wii or the GameCube, I think I said GameCube. When you look at games back then, they had a particular art style that just works. And it holds up very well. That's why a lot of people still say Man, I can go back and play games on the PS2 like it ain't nothing. Man, I can go back and play games on the Xbox, original Xbox, like it ain't nothing. GameCube games still look great. Dreamcast games look absolutely amazing. We did a Dreamcast stream late last year where I played a game and it looks like something that could be on Steam today. You know what I mean? So they have to have. I think the problem is with that, and I think they did this starting on the PlayStation 3. Let's go back to Doc Type comment. They're too focused on making games look good. And I know what he means. He means like they're trying to make them look photorealistic, like they have to look like a movie. Where they don't have to do that. You look at games like, let's say, Days Gone. You look at a game like Alan Wake 2. You look at a game like Control. You look at a game like even some of the Battlefield games. You look at I guess I can stop there. You can look at those games and see that the photorealistic type of style they're trying to go with, the game looks a little pasty. The game looks like a little bit clay type. And that is not in a good way, because you can make a game based off that clay art style that will look absolutely great. But you know what I mean? When you try to make a game look really good, but you know that the technology or the devs just couldn't do it, and the game looks a little blurry, a little mushy. And I think that's what they did with the PlayStation 3. A lot of games on the PS3 and Xbox 360, a lot of those games, they did look good, but I think they went a little bit too far trying to make it look, like top of the line good. They should have just stuck with their limitations with what they had and make the games like look the way they should have looked with the art style. Like you got games like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. They look great on the PS3. You got games like what else? The Last of Us on the PS3 still look good. Ridge Racer 7, Ridge Racer 6, those games look good. But the difference between those games, they basically work within the confines of what their art style was. Then you turn around and you have these other games like, I hate to say it, like a Gears of War. I don't think Gears of War necessarily looked that good on the Xbox 360. I thought it was a grungy look. The art style was okay, but I think they tried to do too much with the art style and then made the graphics not look as great as it was. Sanmora EX looks great. That little shoot 'em up that's an amazing game. That's a really good game. DJ81, my former podcast host from my other on my other channel, my former podcast host, I turned him on to that game and he said, "Hey, this game looks great." If y'all hear my son, that's my son downstairs yelling. He's playing Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I don't know why I bought those bongos for him. Oh my God. Those bongos are so loud, but he loves Donkey Kong. He played Tropical Freeze. He beat Tropical Freeze. He beat Donkey Kong Returns on his Switch, and now he wanted to play Donkey Kong Country Jungle Beat because he watched it on YouTube. So I bought him the bongos. I bought him the game, and now he is off the charts downstairs. He couldn't come upstairs with that. Nah, I took the GameCube downstairs. He's playing that. Absolutely. Shout out to DJ. That's my dude. Shout out to DJ. But yeah, he likes Sanmora EX, and he loves that game. Doc Type says, I don't care about having God raising my games. Give me a good story. See, he's the type of guy that likes a good story. He's the guy that likes number 3 right here. And there's nothing wrong with that. A story for me, either or, I'm good. It just has to have a great story, a good end game. So I'm definitely with you on that. But I think, like, for instance, if you look at a game like, and this is a really good comparison right here. If you look at MLB The Show on PS3, That game looks beautiful. Great looking game. Then you go back and play MLB 2K13 or MLB 2K12 or MLB 2K11. They tried to follow that same model as far as looking like a real broadcast. And I don't think they did a really good job. And the players look kind of clay-like. But on MLB The Show for the PS3, those players look absolutely amazing. So I guess that's like one of the best comparisons I could talk about. But the art style has to look good. It has to be great. And I think that's one of the things that we don't. They've been getting away from that for a while now. Very lazy. Number 8. Let's come up with a number 8. What makes a great game? Number 8. Let's see. What makes a great game? Number 8. Because the first 7, man, it's like not much more you can really say, right? I don't know. We did price, looks, gameplay, story. Devs need to be into the game. How about this? I know this might be a little controversial. How about this? I'm trying to find a way to word this correctly. Well, I can't spell. Valuable DLC or expansion? What y'all think? Jared Green, I absolutely agree with replayability. That's where we kind of tied that into number 6. But I'm 100% with you on that. But I think we covered that in number 6. Game has to have value. You know what I mean? Game could be $70, but I want to be able to play the game 3, 4, 5 times. A game that you can go back and play over and over again. But what do y'all think about number 8? Because a great game, which can tie into number 6, Jared, which could tie into number 6. If the DLC is valuable, you're going to have high replayability. If the DLC is quote unquote expensive, it has to be worth the price. I'm going to tell you some of the best DLC that I've ever played on a game. And I don't know if y'all agree, because y'all may not have played it, but if y'all have, let me know. I think Resident Evil 5 had some fantastic DLC and expansion. The Lost in Nightmares DLC for Resident Evil 5, where you get to play as Jill, I thought that was amazing. Jared says Mafia 3 has underrated DLC. I haven't played the DLC, but I need to get on that and finish it, because I done beat Mafia 1 and 2. I haven't beat 3 yet, but this is something I'm going to have to do. Add that to the list. But I do think Resident Evil 5, and I know how people may feel about DLC with Capcom putting all of the DLC on the disc or whatever. I don't think they did that Resident Evil 5, but the DLC for Resident Evil 5 was absolutely amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed buying that DLC. Another game that had great DLC, Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 had incredible DLC. You went to get, oh my goodness, let me pull this up. Let me see. Because they had a lot of DLC in this game. All right, let's see. Let's see if this is all of it, because this might not be all of it. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up so y'all can see this real quick. This was all the DLC on Battlefield 4. If you bought the premium edition, you got China Rising, Second Assault, Naval Strike, Dragon's Teeth, and Final Stand. You got all this DLC, and I thought this DLC was great because all of this stuff had great maps, it had great weapons, it had everything you wanted in a DLC. So the expansion on this was well worth. I think the premium was like another $60. Well worth it. Absolutely worth it. We can go deeper into the DLC expansion. Sometimes DLC or expansion should have come out earlier in the main storylines. Fallout 4 is an example. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. Matter of fact, that's gonna be a part of number 9 since you brought that up. We're gonna do that in probably not exactly the way you said it, but it's gonna be a part of it. Absolutely. Battlefield 4 DLC expansion. This Resident Evil 5. I'm trying to think. Gran Turismo 6. And the thing about Gran Turismo 6, their DLC was great because you know why? Their DLC was absolutely free. All their updates was completely free. You know what I mean? Like, I think they still do that with Gran Turismo 7, but I know for certain Gran Turismo 6, all the DLC you got on that was absolutely free. And you end up getting over 1,200 cars, and you end up getting, what is it called? 1,200 cars on Gran Turismo 6, and it was completely free. Completely free. And then this is the thing about it. Like nowadays, you can't get DLC like this anymore. You just can't get it. It's actually pretty sad that it's that bad that you can't get DLC like this anymore. You know? So this is the thing that I think that this is a big deal when it comes to making a great game. DLC and expansion has to be valuable. It has to be worth the price. Let me pull this back up. I'm trying to add anything else I can to that, but I can't. Okay. Number 9. DLC. DLC expansion or online content has to be valid. We put all that on one row. What do I mean by this? DLC expansion online content has to be valid. Do y'all remember the old days in Call of Duty? Do y'all remember the online content DLC? Well, let me take this off. I'm gonna take this off. Hold on. The online content has to be, if the game has online content, it has to be valid. What I mean by that, do you remember the old Call of Duty days? Do you remember, even with Battlefield to an extent, you played the campaign, and throughout the campaign, You learn things about the online experience. So once you finish the campaign, you are ready to go into the online content and pick up where you left off and or use the skills that you learned in the offline content to play in the online content. I think this is what Doc Type is trying to say. Maybe he's trying to put it a little bit different, saying that we go deeper in the DLC or expansion. Sometimes the DLC or expansion shall come out earlier in the main storylines. Fallout 4 is my example. This is what I mean by this. Like, I understand what I understand what you're saying there. And I can tie all that together with number 9, 8, and number 9. Some DLC has to be like an expansion, has to go along with the story. Or it could be a continuation of the story. Or it could be a side story within the story. This wasn't necessarily DLC, but it was an expansion in Resident Evil 4 when you played as Ada Wong. I think that was a great idea with the expansion of that. But when I mean online content, I remember back in the day when you went to play a game, you went through the entire, it made you want to go through the entire offline content to jump over to the online content. You know, so those are the things that I feel like nowadays, and I mean, they do it flat out now. They don't even make you think about the what you call it. They don't even make you think about the offline content and make you jump straight into the online stuff. Call of Duty does it. They don't even, in some cases, they didn't even want to give you a campaign at one point. So that doesn't necessarily give it be a great game because you go straight online, and then people that play with you online can ruin the entire experience. The game can have all of this stuff right here, 1 through 9, and the online stuff could ruin it. Now that's something that the devs and the company can't really. Well, I guess they could curtail it by, ranking people differently or getting rid of bad apples in a game, but it just doesn't necessarily, help. But I feel like the online content cannot be necessarily, I'll put it that way. It has to be relevant. Some online content don't be relevant, man. It just don't. Some of it just don't. I think what Battlefield did made it relevant. I think they did a really good job. Kenneth Muller says, new ideas, new structure. I don't think they necessarily need new ideas. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to have a really good functional game that people can have fun with. Now the structure, possibly, you may want to change a few things around to make it more interesting. But the idea side of things, to make a great game, you don't necessarily need to, like I said, reinvent the wheel. Say you don't have to do much, but I do get what you're saying as far as structure, though. Doc Type said you can't be so OP when you get into the DLC. It cheapens the experience. I'm gonna be. I don't think the DLC should, outside of a new game plus. I guess this is what you mean, like overpowered. Outside of a new game plus, I don't think you should be in that position. Another game that did a really good job with DLC was The Last of Us. The Last of Us. I just came up with a good thing. I'm gonna talk about it in a second. I just came up with another good thing when it came to online content. Just give me a second. I'll get back to that in a second. But I think The Last of Us Left Behind did a really good job with their DLC as well. I think that Left Behind kind of did somewhat of I don't think it was an expansion. I think it was another storyline within the story. But it wasn't OP. Now there's some DLC that does. Oh, you still stick to speed. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Still talking about Fallout 4. I got you. But see, I think what they tried to do, I can't remember with the Fallout 4. It's been so long since I played it. You know better than I do. I'm not gonna get into it in the way, because I don't want to say anything wrong. But let's look at number 9 right here. Online content has to be valid and relevant. You know another game that did really good with online content, who did really well, and I'm extremely surprised that they didn't go back to this because they ruined it when they did their third game. I think Uncharted 2 online was absolutely amazing, and they tried to expand on it with Uncharted 3, and it just wasn't the same. Did Uncharted 4 have an online presence? I can't remember. But I think Uncharted 3 online was really good. I think The Last of Us online was pretty good too. I thought that was pretty good too. But I had a lot of fun with playing online with Uncharted 2. I platinumed that game on PS3 because I enjoyed that so much. But I think the online content has to be relevant because with the online content with Uncharted 2, you worked your way up to get golden guns. They had different the maps was different, new maps, kind of similar to what they did with Battlefield 4, but I don't think nothing touched Battlefield 4 when it comes to DLC and expansion. I'm gonna tell you guys, I don't think we'll ever get anything like that again, whether it be on Uncharted 2 or with Battlefield 4. The expansion packs on those were absolutely amazing, and I don't think we'll ever get that again. Even when you look like nowadays, you can't get anything close to that. You see what happened with Last of Us? The Last of Us, they canceled their faction. They canceled that online experience because they just can't make money off of it. But whose fault is that? That goes back to this right here. That goes back to that right there. There's no reason why The Last of Us 2 or even The Last of Us from the remake or the remaster, there's no reason why those games shouldn't have had they should have had an online thing in it if they had it in the PS3. There's no reason why they couldn't put it back in. But when you don't have the passion for it, you're not going to get it. When people are looking at things through money, this is what happens. So this right here, number 9, suffers because of this right here. That's the problem with games in general, if we really want to be honest. Let's come up with number 10, and then I'm going to probably slide up out of here. Number 10, what should be number 10? What makes a great game? I don't think I spelled that right. I didn't spell that. That's not how to spell accessibility, right? No. I spelled that right. I didn't think I spelled it right. Yeah, sure. ACCESSIB. Oh, IBILITY. I'm missing an I. What I said, I know I didn't spell that right. This is the last part right here. The game has to be accessible to everybody. That's what I think. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be on all consoles. It has to be on PC or anything like that. It has to be accessible to anybody and everybody who wants to pick up and play the game. If you want to pick up and play it, you should be able to play it. Obviously, like, I don't think, even though I love Battlefield 4, I think it's a great game. I don't think a child should play that game. You know what I mean? I guess this goes back to the functionality part, or functional. It has to be anybody, if it's a mature rated game, Anybody of that age should be able to play it and should have access to it and have fun with it. You shouldn't be locked out of the game because it doesn't function well. I guess that's right. Does that make sense? Anybody got a better word for that? I don't know. Backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility. Does that make a great game? If it's backwards compatible? I think backwards compatibility, if it was a great console, I think all great consoles should have backwards compatibility. I don't know about the game. Should the game be able to be played? I think I know what you mean. The game should be able to be played in later consoles. Let's say, for instance, what game we just talked? Let's say Fallout 4. That you should be able to play that game on the next Xbox, or it should be able to still be played on the PS6. You have a game like Battlefield 4. That game should be able to be played on the next Xbox, even though not many people are online, but you know what I mean. I think that's what you mean. Let me know if that's what you mean. The game should still be able to be available later on down the road. No. I think that's what you mean. It should still be accessible. But let's think about that for a second. There's some games that are forward compatible that shouldn't be forward compatible. There are some games out there. There are some bad games out there that should not be on the Xbox list to play on your Xbox today, in my opinion. I think they're just out there just because the company had money, or it's just cheaper for Xbox to put it on the backwards compatibility list. I would say it like this. I like the fact that Dead or Alive Ultimate is backwards compatible. You can play it on the Xbox. You can play that on the Xbox Series right now. Dead or Alive 1 and 2, the Ultimate edition. But I could care less about Dead or Alive 1. I don't think Dead or Alive 1 is necessarily a great game. I think it's a good game. I think it's an okay game. But Dead or Alive 2 is like light years better than Dead or Alive 1, in my opinion. What else I can think of, another game that may not need it? I think that's it. And I ain't gonna say that's it, but that's the first game comes to mind. That I feel like that shouldn't be, but to make a game accessible, I think that's what you mean. I think I know that's what you're getting at. But I think accessibility, in my sense, I think it should not be a nightmare for people to pick up the game and play it. And I think number 10 goes along with number 2. I think number 10 goes along with number 2. That's the way I look at it. Number 10 goes along with number 2, in my opinion. But when it comes to backwards compatibility, I think that's what makes a great console. I think all great I don't think a console is necessarily great if it does not have backwards compatibility. But then again, what about the PlayStation 1, which is a great console? What about the Saturn? What about the original Xbox? It's a great console. You know, it's kind of, limitations why that's not back. But I think, I kind of get what you're saying. I think what you mean at the end of the day, these games should be able to be available as the times change. It should still be accessible. I think that's what you mean, but I'm with you on that. Some of these great games they should not die because they're locked to a console. I definitely agree with that. I do believe that some of these games should be able to play on newer consoles. I think there was a fight for Red Dead Redemption to be in that, get to that level, because Red Dead Redemption at one point it was locked to the Xbox 360 and the PS3 for a long time, and they finally made that. Now it's on PC. Now it's on PS4. Now you can play it on different consoles now, but at one time it wasn't like that. So that's a great game that's kind of pretty much locked away. So I think that's pretty much it, man. I think these are the top 10 things. Well, this wasn't necessarily a top 10 video, but I think these things work. What makes a great game? Developers that have a passion for the vision. The game has to be functional, work as intended, have a great story or end game. Gameplay has to be challenging. Results of the gameplay has to be satisfying. Game has to have value regardless of the price. Game has to look good with the art style. Valuable DLC and or expansion. Online content has to be valid or relevant. And accessibility. I think this is solid. I think this is solid. Y'all let me know, man. I know a lot of people already checked out of here. It's a video over an hour. Didn't want to keep y'all too long. But if you're watching this on the I guess call it the VOD, or you call it watching this after the live is over and you're just watching the replay of it, let me know in the comment section. Yeah, I think this is a solid list too. I think it's solid. I think it's a good list. So y'all let me know. I'm going to get up out of here and I'm going to check on my son. He is down there playing Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and I'm pretty sure that he is he's having a good time because he's yelling and not crying. He hates to lose at games. He started losing at games. He started crying. He started getting mad. And I'm like, look, you just got to take a break. Give it about 10 minutes and come back and you'll beat it. And he takes a break and comes back and he beats it and he's all good then, Thank you, Doc Type. I try my best to make a good stream, man. Thank you, Quayface, for coming through. I think the list is good as well. Appreciate it. Jared Green. Oh, let me get Jared Green's channel up here so y'all can go check out his so y'all can check out his channel. I said I was going to do that. Put that up right now. Here it is right here. I'm gonna put it in I'll put the link so y'all can check it out. Y'all go check out my man's channel if y'all haven't already. As well, I can put this up here too. I don't know if he's still here. There he goes right there. That's Jared's channel. And y'all go check out Kenneth Mullen's channel. I don't know if he's here, but both of these guys make good content. Kenneth Mullen talks about gaming and everything on the umbrella. Jared Green talks about sports. And, they do their thing, man. I highly recommend you guys go check them out. I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you guys for another great stream. Doc Type, once again, Kenneth Mullen, Quayface, appreciate you, brother. Jared Green, appreciate you as well. I will be back tomorrow. I'll probably be live again. We'll probably talk about something else. I may play some more of Doom or whatever. I don't know. But we'll figure it out. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.